really sure this should count because it's not really a film, but it was on a list of films, and honestly, after watching it, I just had to talk about it because I fucking loved this. I feel like if you even haven't seen this, you know about Japanese Spider-Man. Instead of just going for a basic adaptation, Japan decided that their version of Spider-Man was just gonna be crazy. And at first, sure, he looks like Spider-Man, he beats up guys, he's got the costume, he crawls up with stuff as well as shoot web, and he does more of these powers than the other 70s Spider-Man in America, so it actually is more impressive. However, this Spider-Man's also Japanese, so yeah, it's not gonna be in New York, that's pretty obvious. But this version of the character also packs heat, apparently. Like, geez Louise, he's shooting a fucking gun! But also, he has a giant mech called the Leopardon, which doesn't even, it's not even spider-related, just a giant robot space mech because he's an alien space guy, but not really, he's just got space alien spider powers with a giant mech to fight evil aliens. What the fuck's going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. It's Japanese Spider-Man.
Spider-Man!
In this, instead of Peter Parker, we got Takeo Yamashiro? I'm pretty sure I butchered that. Sorry, I failed my Duolingo Japan. He is not a photographer, he's a cool bike-riding guy who lives in Japan, obviously. Apparently in this universe, there's a group of aliens called the Evil Iron Cross Army, whose leader, that guy in the background, whose name is, get this, Professor Monster. That's his name, Professor Monster. How cliche can you get? Apparently in the past, they destroyed a planet called Planet Spider, and then one of the guys escaped but lived in a cave for 400 years until he was found by this version of Spider-Man, and he gives him spider powers. And of course he agrees to help them because the aliens, of course, killed this version of Spider-Man's dad, who's also a professor who studies alien stuff. For some reason, this alien spider guy who can transform into a spider, a random different type of spider every time he does it, because every time it's a different spider we see, he, some reason, calls this Spider-Man his brother, even though they're not related, and this Spider-Man actually does have a young brother, so it's very confusing. Seeing how he's an angsty motorcyclist, of course he's gonna go out and fight these evil aliens. Just look at how his costume gets on. It goes over his face, and then he zips it up, and then it's automatically on like he's shocked. But who did the zipping part? That's what I want to know. Even though this is so far removed from the Spider-Man the fact is that they did better stuff with this character here because he looks more like Spider-Man here. He's got the angry eyes, which fits the character a bit better than the other 70s Spider-Man, and in fact he does a lot more practical stunts that's edited a lot better. Like, it's not the best work in the world, but they definitely do it to a point where it's more believable this guy's fastly climbing up buildings like an actual spider rather than some guy clunkily climbing along. It doesn't look that great, but compared to the other 70s Spider-Man movie, this looks like a masterpiece. But they do have the problem of repeating shots over and over again. Like, okay, we get it, he swung, alright? And of course, he has his own catchphrase, too. Spider-Man! I like how he has his own pose he does in front of them. And also, the fight scenes are actually pretty fun. Like I said, in the other 70s Spider-Man live-action movie, he barely fought the guy. Here there's a whole army of weird-looking gray guys with giant Wario noses that he's fighting, and there's a bunch of fast-paced editing. It's a little too confusing, but it's entertaining as hell. I was entertained for this entire thing. It was fast-paced and moved very quickly, even if it is a little goofy. I loved it, even though it does repeat too many shots there. Then all of a sudden, a giant lizard guy is hitting Spider-Man. At first he tries fighting with his webs, but that doesn't work out too well, because he gets swung around by it. I fucking love it. But then I guess Spider-Man figures out that he can call this spaceship that appeared earlier because I guess it's connected to him. I don't think he was ever told this, by the way. It just comes out and it shoots out a little flying car for him to go into. This is just fucking insane. Then why is Spider-Man going in a car? It's hilarious. But this isn't a car, it's a flying car. And of course the flying car is going to go into inside of a giant robot. And despite this robot being from Planet Spider and everything else being spider-related, this robot is called Leopardon, which has a giant leopard on the back of it. It does have some webbing on it, but it's more leopard-based than spider-based. But yeah, at the time there was a lot of giant robot and alien fighting stuff in Japanese TV, like Ultraman, stuff like that. But this one's very important because the studio would later be used for Toei's Super Sentai franchise, which would be, of course, the basis for the Power Rangers. So there you go, Japanese Spider-Man helped make the Power Rangers. Also, the lizard guy from earlier, he's actually a little toy that one of the people puts down and it just grows randomly. I think the saddest thing about this 24-minute episode is the fact that more stuff happens and more action scenes are in this than the other movies I've seen so far, which are actually full length. I'm glad somebody counted this as a Marvel movie because this was shown in theaters the first episode, because it is entertaining as all hell. I highly recommend watching it because it's free on YouTube in only 24 minutes and it goes by in a flash. And in fact, I might watch this whole entire series after watching this one episode. It's that entertaining. Well, definitely not the highest form of entertainment. It's not very accurate to the character when it comes to the storyline. It is very entertaining, and it has quite a few different flaws, like the fact it repeats a lot of shots, and it is pretty goofy, so I can't give higher than a 7 out of 10, being a C tier. It is definitely a recommendation. I love the poster, by the way. It just shows a bunch of other products of Spider-Man being in the front. Love it. Anyway, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for next time, which won't be as entertaining as this.